Greetings everyone, my name is Tang Jiahui and I would like to ask you a question. What makes you, you? Have you ever taken a moment and wonder what makes us so unique from our siblings, parents and peers? We may be from the same species, but our thoughts, behavior, physical appearances, susceptibility to the same disease are vastly different. This can be explained via nature and nurture. Based on nature's justification, the origin of our psychological traits is from our family genetics, but nurture says otherwise, where our traits are determined by our family environment, as we are more likely to be influenced by those who we spend the most time with under the same environment. Generally, 99% of human genes are similar, as it accounts for the human nature. The 1% difference of our gene is the factor for our individuality that distinguishes you and I. So the question is, how we were made to be different? And is it caused by nature or nurture? Or maybe there is some external entity that contributes to our differences. Therefore, by understanding nature, nurture and its interaction, we may be able to solve the equation to what makes us so special from others. As a genetic enthusiast, I hope that through my thorough research on this subject matter, via books, research papers and documentaries, everyone will get the answer to my question today. Without further ado, I will address the need to understand nature, nurture and its interaction, and how you can spread this knowledge to the community so everyone can benefit from it. To begin with, why do we need to know about nature, nurture and its interaction? The answer is rather straightforward. It is because those who are ill-equipped with such knowledge will succumb to late-onset diseases which could be fatal or will degrade one's quality of life, as well as making prejudice and intolerable behavior as a norm in our society. Speaking of disease, let us take genetic-based hearing loss like Hendrix syndrome as our example. It seems that hearing loss is predestined, as 50 to 60% of its occurrence is due to a single gene mutation crucial for the proper functioning of our ears. But little do we know that the environment has its fair share of causing hearing loss as well. In fact, it is accountable to 25% of the total hearing loss cases. According to WHO, we can encounter hearing loss at different stages in our lives due to some unforeseeable circumstances and one bad habit that causes the damage of auditory nerves and system. Hearing loss comes with other side effects as well, such as social isolation and poor self-perception in children as they can't communicate well with their peers, and lower percentage of employment for adults due to their limitation to accurately identify and dissect information at a fast pace from the noise perceived from their working space. These kind of social problems are faced by those with Tourette syndromes too. Tourette syndrome has been scientifically proven to be a neurological disorder which causes a person to tick or to make sudden twitches, movements or random sounds voluntarily due to the mutation of gene that is crucial for nerve cells communication. However, in the past, it was said to be the consequence of one's sins and immoral behavior passed down from their family or a sign of demonic possession and witchcraft, which they will be tortured in a barbaric way and placed upon unbeatable trials, and lastly end up dead in these trials or being hanged or beheaded. You may think such ill treatment to people with Tourette syndrome doesn't happen anymore in this world. Well, yes, you are correct, as there are laws to protect us all from being murdered or tortured for some absurd, inhumane reasons. But it isn't sufficient to protect us from social discrimination. Stigmatization of people with Tourette syndrome continues, which causes low self-esteem and increase in the severity of their tics. Social researchers reported that public express negative impression and discrimination towards those with Tourette syndrome, such as to refuse to have any type of interaction or relationship with them, even in those who are graduated from medical school. Up to this point, we can see that being ill-equipped with such knowledge and understanding will have detrimental effect on one's physical and mental life quality. Therefore, holistic approaches are necessary to improve nature-nurture literacy in our society to avoid the recurrence of such effects. The approaches are via education and law reinforcement and awareness. Firstly, collaboration between schools, public health programs, government agencies, and professionals to develop a comprehensive education curriculum, especially to those who are not involved in science, to highlight the need for them to understand knowledge regarding genetics, environment, and its interaction. This was proved to be effective from an experiment conducted by the University of Cincinnati, Ohio on 300 undergraduates, which concluded that suitable delivery tools and course structure contributes to the enhancement of one's genetic literacy. Next, the existence and continuous amendment of law and policies to maintain its relevancy, transparency, and protection to the society today are a great way to provide standards and guidelines as a provision to medical genetic services and to improve public awareness and confidence regarding the available law and policies in Malaysia that address concerns about potential ethical misconduct. It may even convince people to take genetic tests as a way to detect late-onset diseases without worrying their DNA will be modified or the access of unauthorized users to their personal data. For instance, Malaysia adapted the Public Health Surveillance recommended by WHO, DNA Identification Act and Personal Data Protection Act to reduce the public's vulnerability towards DNA manipulation, data theft, illegal personal data processing, and violation of one's right to public resources and their choice regarding genetics within the existing legal framework. We now know the potential of education and the importance of law and policies in increasing nature-nurture literacy and governing human behavior. You may be wondering, how can one benefit from knowing nature-nurture and its interaction there? Well, it has the potential to improve one's quality of life and end social discrimination through us knowing our own polygenic score, and that assists us in making the right life decisions, and lastly by building social awareness in our community. PCR obtained via genetic testing identifies small variants in our genes that can be modified by our lifestyles. Hence, detects one's vulnerability to a particular disease, so early prevention steps can be made before the condition deepens, and one can be alleviated from the social and health disadvantage from having such health condition, such as hearing loss. For instance, approximately 60% of hearing loss is preventable via immunization, good maternal child care, and public health practices, as long as hearing loss was detected at an early stage via a non-tedious effective way, which is genetic testing. Besides, a firm foundation on the knowledge of nature, nurture, and its interaction puts discrimination to an end, to have a knowledgeable society that will analyze the truth of an information perceived. Its history reminds us all on how our ignorance towards knowledge disrupt and violate one's basic right, and how we have little empathy and respect for one and another. But at the same time, it enlightens us to need to restore warmth, equality, respect, and kindness in our society. Not only that everyone will be treated fairly, but also to make us more humane. Don't you think it's great that with the knowledge of nature, nurture, and epigenetics, not only we can improve our life quality, but also to end social discrimination and violation of human rights? Now you have the idea of why we should be well equipped with the knowledge of nature-nurture interaction and how you can help to spread this knowledge to the public due to the benefits we can harvest from. I would like you to think, to imagine, with over 7.9 billion people on Earth, we were made to be special, but because of our ignorance and our fear to explore, to learn, and to appreciate the living and the people around us, and to uncover mysteries and knowledge in this world, it has caused chaos and became a weapon that turns against us and humanity. We will be living like a fool in a colorless world full of lies and misguidance. We will never live the life to the fullest, to do the things we desire, and to learn how to understand, love, and to appreciate the life given to us. Nor will we learn to have empathy and respect on one and another. But we can put this to an end with our own action. As remarked by Tony Robbins, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. Action is power. I urge you all to start right now. Put in effort and will to learn to understand yourself. Acknowledge the power, the potential you have in your hands to change things for the better. Whether it is to step out from your comfort zone, to learn how to be contented in life, or even to make a change in our community, society, or world. Because something which may seem to be predestined by nature is changeable only if we have the willpower to make that change. So quit telling yourself that you do not get to decide or it's too late, because it is never too late to work towards the life you have always desired or to make the world a better place.